especially to give back to the society, part of which we actually got from the society. And when these were being put together, the FSB is joining now. I will pause until finally. Okay, welcome Elder Gbenga Omidiji, the Family Support Board Chair. We say thank you for joining us and your mentoring at all time. We are about starting this program, but we'll start with the kind of sensitization of why we have this before we call you officially to talk to us. Distinguished professional, you have with us those that mentored us, those that give us some particular names that some of us are bearing today. And I am happy to introduce to you Elder Gbenga Omidiji. Elder Gbenga Omidiji is a thorough professional, a retiree that is still very active with so many diverse skills. And his leadership prowess is second to none. I will confirm to you all the time. He is a professional of good repute. He's a child accountant of many years standing. They mentor us together with other colleagues of his during their own generation, and the kind of thing they laid then is still following some of us today. When you see some of us on Friday, Saturday, Sunday wearing tie, these are the people that, I don't want to say they brainwash us, they train our brain so that we will be corporate at all time. They actually train us to watch our language and the way we speak, the way we dress, the way we move in the society, part of which never departed some of us till tomorrow. And that's why you have us in this kind of pedestrian today. Apart from Mr. Gbenga Omidiji, we have our facilitator that we just called and talked to them, and they share in their vision. Of course, they are not here because of money, but they are here because they also shared in accountancy-related activities. In no particular order, we have Dr. Abdullahi Musa Abdullahi. Dr. Abdullahi Musa Abdullahi is the coordinator of the Taxation Department of Nasarawa State University. This is the person I've worked with for over 3 years. We've been on journey of professional excellence together. When you see him, very cool, calm, even more than me. Of course, you know I'm not cool and I'm not calm. I'm not ready to do so. But when you see this gentleman, you will think he will not be able to say anything. But the knowledge represented in this, my colleague, my brother, like I said the other time, worth emulating. He developed interest in forensic accounting, apart from the fact that he coordinates taxation department from the inception to date of that great university. He has taught at all levels of education and all levels in the faculty. Welcome with me, Dr. Abdullahi Musa Abdullahi. Also, we have my good brothers, Sidi Onoja. He picked particular interest in developing human capital. When I used to hear his name, he also know me, but we have never met. When we meet, he showed me a lot of enthusiasm when it comes to technology. Currently, he's the one that is designing the platform gateway for Anna University. He has done for several banks. Most of the microfinance bank that we have in Nigeria, I know his shared market there will not be less than 50, if not about 60% of their platform. He was the one that developed it with his team. He has facilitated in several fora conferences, and year 2000, we both trained all professional accountants of ANA throughout the Nigeria, from one state to the other. He's good at what he's doing, and you will enjoy speaking with him. Of course, to the house, the third paper presenter, like I said, in no particular order, is well known to us. He's a good sister, and this gentle lady, if you look at her, you will never believe that she can what the sort that we are talking about. And that is Dr. Mrs. Titi Fowokan. She likes tax more than anything. She holds degree in mathematics, education, accounting, taxation, and the like. And this is the head of strategic tax unit of Dangote. Let me say worldwide. She managed all the tax affairs of Dangote Group. And you see her here now. If you call her next minute, she's not where you see her. And she barely sleeps in a town in a day. So kidnapping her or adopting her is not part of the story because she doesn't sleep one place. It can only come with grace. She's a chartered accountant of good repute. And these are the people that even got to the fellowship startup before some of us went to school. And today, we thank God for the glory of God in our life. Okay, she will be discussing future of accounting, but related to tax, while my Oga Shiji, our Onoja, will be discussing future of accounting, our accounting profession, looking at information technology, while Dr. Abiola Musa will be discussing with us the aspect of forensic. We will not waste your time because all of us have one or two things to also do. It's on this note, I'd like to invite my boss, my elder. Of course, if I say he's my father, I'm not missing words, and I'm not also flattering him. That's the kind of position in which we all hold Elder Gbenga Omidiji. Elder Gbenga Omidiji, thank you for joining us and mentoring us and approving this body. While we are expecting the lead Doyen to join us, we would like to have a kind of chit chat with you, talk to us. Within that period of time, others will have joined so that we can be seen to be ready for this. Thank you so much, my elder.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear you, sir. We can hear you,
sir. Okay. Good morning, everyone. The lead Doyen and the chairman of the JMI Council in absentia will probably join us in the call. Management of the national accountants groups of the Joint Banks National, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to be a part of this first in its kind webinar of the Certified National Accountant group of the Joint Banks National. Joint Banks National was established in 1990. And that over the years produced thousands of professionals in the field of accounting and accountancy. And the focus of the group is for academic, social, and professional excellence. It should be worthy of note that, like the Yorubas will say that 20 kids cannot play together for 20 years. Yes, members of the group all have their background in accounting, but of course, a lot of divergent professional focus had come out of that background. Some are chartered accountants, some are chartered bankers, some are chartered stockbrokers, some are businessmen on their own. And so the same way we have members of the club who have distinguished themselves as certified national accountants. So it's not as if the club is restricted to one profession. It's an all-encompassing group that encourages excellence in whatever its members choose to do. And that's why it wasn't difficult for the Doyen and the JMI Council to approve the setting up of this group and also support this webinar series. So having said that, I want to welcome all participants. It's an opportunity to share knowledge, to equip ourselves, to develop ourselves, and to be better professionals. For this, JMI International will always support such endeavors, will always come and contribute at such fora, and will never discriminate against any group of professionals, as long as it is meant to promote, to develop, and to sustain professional excellence. On that note, on behalf of the lead Doyen and the chairman of JMI National Council, I want to welcome you all and to say have a very great deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my FSB chairman. Of course, we can never have enough of you. We'll continue to draw from your wealth of experience. I want to say thank you so much for this. With your kind permission, of course, by extension, the permission of JMI Council as led by our own lead Doyen, Mr. Tobi Abiola, we will request for your express permission to start this presentation. Your permission, sir.
Please go ahead. The webinar is hereby officially declared open. Please, let's go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, LA Press, Morenike, are you there? Okay, while you are trying to unmute yourself, I think I can quickly help to take on this role. I'd like to call on board Dr. Abdullah Musa Abdullah. Kindly unmute yourself. You are a co-host, so it wouldn't be so difficult for you to unmute. Yes, I see you have unmuted yourself. Like I said the other time, permit me to rest on the informal introduction I made about my good brother, my boss, Dr. Abdullah Musa Abdullah. Like I said, you see his face very radiating, and we thank God for his life. Dr. Abdullah Musa, thank you for coming on board, and we are very, very happy as you are commencing your slide sharing. Please talk to us, and please, we know you have a lot to say. We will be here to listen to you. Give us a good, detailed but summary of what you have, because you are still on panel to answer several questions that will come. But you can believe us that all of us are here to also support. Thank you, my boss. Go ahead and talk to us, sir.
All right, thank you, Professor Godwin. It is a pleasure to be among a group of scholars like you. Well, when I was called to speak on this paper, my thinking was that who could have done this better than you, Prof? Forensic accounting is an area that I think most of your publications and theses were done in. Apart from that, you're a practical, practicing professional. In any way, just as you said, I have prepared some slides that I will be taking us through on efficacy of forensic accounting. First, we'll look at the introductory aspects, then look at conceptual issues with respect to forensic accounting. Then we will look at the efficacy of forensic accounting and then conclude. In this, within 20 to 30 minutes, I hope to be done with my presentation. So we start with the presentation. So it is a common knowledge now that accounting has come of age, has come a long way, often adapting to different changes in the environment. Evolving from bookkeeping, accounting has now evolved into what we know as cost accounting, management accounting, auditing, taxation, and several other areas that are also emerging. But of recent, one particular area of accounting that is generating discussion and capturing the mind of scholars is the area of forensic accounting. This is not surprising due to incessant cases of frauds and misappropriation that has been happening in both the public and private sector of our economy. Now, change in business practices, technology has impacted development of accounting in a serious way. Now, financial transactions are most often done online, and this has changed the tradition of accounting. And accounting has to also evolve to meet up with the different challenges that usually come up from time to time. Well, the need for accuracy and accountability of performance reports to the business owners and the government and stakeholders have led to the development of auditing. Over time, the traditional auditing practices became incapable of identifying and preventing unique cases of frauds in both the public and private sector of the economy. Modern frauds and financial crimes have taken sophisticated dimension also. And with the ever-increasing case of fraud in both the corporate and public sectors, accounting profession is also rising to the challenge of curtailing the maintenance of financial fraud. This has led to the emergence and popularity of accounting, forensic accounting, whose initial purpose was to provide just a forensic evidence in court against perpetrator of financial fraud. The field of forensic accounting, as we all know, is no doubt a popular area of concern for professional accountants. It is a multidisciplinary area requiring the knowledge of accounting, law, investigative skills, psychology, communication skills, and computer forensic, to mention a few. This means that accountant is expected to be very versatile. A forensic accountant is supposed to have a very wide knowledge of these issues and not just restricted to the knowledge of the old accounting system or traditional accounting. Now, let's look at what forensic accounting is. Forensic accounting, this is a scientific accounting method of uncovering, analyzing, resolving, and preventing fraud and white-collar crimes matters in a manner that produces admissible evidence which is capable of providing or disapproving facts in issues suitable in the court of law. A definition given by Cromwell et al. Cromley et al. In 2015, they see forensic accounting as the action of identifying, recording, settling, extracting, sorting, reporting, and verifying past financial data or other accounting activities for settling current or prospective legal dispute or using such past financial data for projecting future financial data to settle legal dispute. From this definition, then it is telling us that just like the normal definition of accounting, where we talked about identifying, recording, settling, extracting, sorting, reporting, that the same thing applies in forensic accounting, except that it is now being done for a different purpose, the purpose of identifying fraud or preventing fraud that are likely to happen in the future. So the definition of forensic accounting, I think, should not give us much problem. Forensic accounting integrates an understanding of accounting principle with investigative techniques to determine whether actions behind financial records and statements are suspicious. Forensic accounting provides an accounting analysis suitable to be used in legal proceedings. Forensic accountants are trained to look beyond the numbers and deal with business reality of a situation. Forensic accountants analyze, interpret, and summarize complex financial and business matters. They may be employed by insurance companies, banks, police forces, government agencies, or public accounting firm. Sometimes even an individual person might hire a forensic accountant to carry out some sort of forensic investigation, especially in the areas of asset recovery. Forensic accountant compile financial evidence, develop computer application to manage the information collected, and communicate their findings in the form of reports or presentation. So again, this is telling us that forensic accountants to be different from the traditional accountant. Don't see the these forensic accountants are into application development to suit particular problems that they have identified to solve business as business solutions. Along with testifying in court, a forensic accountant may be asked to prepare visual aids to support trial evidence, because the forensic accountant is sometimes seen as an expert witness. Sometimes the evidence to be used in the course of law, the physical evidence are not there, and you're likely to recreate some of this evidence, and counting on your professionalism and expertise, such a position might be accepted in the court of law. For business investigation, forensic accounting entails the use of tracing funds, asset identification, and asset recovery and due diligence review. This I've stated earlier. Forensic accountant may seek out traditional training in alternative dispute resolution due to their high level of involvement in the level of issues and familiarities with the judiciary system. So sometimes some of the frauds, some of the issues investigated might not necessarily go to the court. They might be resolved with the expertise of the forensic accountant. That is where the knowledge of dispute resolution is seen to be very handy. Now, objectives of, for purpose of forensic accounting, usually forensic accountants provide some facts, and the conclusion helps to facilitate a settlement claim or jury, just as I've noted earlier that with the help of forensic accounting, or a forensic accountant is also seen as a dispute reconciliator. To restore the downgraded public confidence, the traditional auditing system often have failed to live up to expectation, as despite audited financial statement, despite the fact that some financial statements haven't been audited and given a clean bill of health, we have seen where these companies are going down, where audited companies that are deemed to be healthy are really collapsing. Then the public begins to get wonder whether the traditional auditing system is capable of solving some of the works that it's expected to do. But the failure or lack of trust in the traditional auditing system is being made up, taken care of by forensic accounting or forensic accountant. It is believed by the general public that once a forensic accountant is involved, then there's high level of integrity, that evidence provided tends to be more genuine, and the scope of their investigation, because it's often much more wider, they tend to provide evidence that are more representative of what is happening in the organization. So the public tends to trust the forensic accounting as compared to the traditional thing. To avoid fraud and theft, traditionally forensic accounting is seen just as providing evidence in the court of law to support investigation. But recently, the scope of forensic accounting is widening. It is not just a reactive field now. It is also seen as a proactive, where an organization wants to prevent fraud from happening in the first place. Therefore, services of forensic accountants are employed, and this helps to prevent frauds and theft in organization to create a positive work environment. Once cases of frauds are identified, or when there are suspicion of fraud in a work environment, it creates negative energy in the workplace until the perpetrator is found out. Everybody will appear to be guilty. When the work of a forensic accountant does his work and is able to come out with what has actually happened and who is responsible for such a crime, that such could create a positive or remedy the negative this thing that has been created in the past. We have special areas of forensic accounting covers investigative accounting, forensic investigation, forensic taxation, forensic auditing, digital forensic, fraud investigation. These are different branches or aspects of forensic accounting. Now let's look at importance of forensic accounting. One is that it helps to solve or aid complex litigation. Once evidence are destroyed, it becomes so difficult for such cases to be tried in the court of law. But forensic accounting, due to its macro nature of investigation, as we're going to see later, even the complex and sophisticated cases that a simple approach to such investigation will not be able to solve, forensic accounting is able to unearth some of the evidence that are destroyed and make strong provisions in the court presentation in the court of law, which then helps in the unraveling of some of the witnesses. Government investigation. Now, we know the public sector is tend to be very naughty in terms of corruption. Some of the investigation there, we know the weaknesses in the public sector audits. So bigger government corporations, the level of frauds perpetrated in such areas are very, very difficult to be investigated by the traditional auditing system. Therefore, government often involve forensic accountants or forensic investigation to unearth some of the deep issues that the traditional auditing will not be able to do, especially in the area of taxation also, where people avoid or try to evade tax. Government employs this, and it's really helpful. Minimize losses. You see, we noted earlier that forensic accounting is also a reactive technique or proactive techniques in the field, in the sense that you want to, as much as possible, prevent the fraud from happening in the first place. For you to be able to do that, when you put forensic accounting structure in place, it reduces your exposure to risks as one of the advantage we're going to see also. Therefore, minimizes your level of losses, reduce exploitation risks. If you put forensic accounting structure in place, it helps to reduce some of the exploitative risks that are out there for businesses. Now, for us to really have a good grasp of forensic accounting, let's take a comparative view, a comparative look at between the traditional auditing system and forensic accounting. Auditing is a macro system. In contrast, forensic accounting is a micro system. Now, it might look somehow, if you look at it from macro being bigger and micro being a small this thing. The macro there stands that in traditional auditing, you just look at the larger population. You take a sample, you work based on selected items. You don't go into detail. But forensic accounting look at every evidence that is available. Instead of taking a sample of files or documents and then concluding on such a basis. If you're taking a sample, you're looking at it from a larger or from a macro level. But if you have to look at every detail that is involved in your investigation, then that is a micro system. Therefore, forensic accounting is micro, while auditing tends to be a macro system. The auditors analyze financial statements prepared by the management and give their opinion based on documents which are given to them. On the other hand, forensic accounting whistleblow red flag issues and uncover fraud even where there is no sign of fraud or material evidence. In a more clearer form, we tabulated the differences between the traditional auditing, fraud examination, and forensic investigation. In terms of perspective, we know that auditing is historical. You audit the financial statement after the event has happened. At the end of the year, after financial statement has been prepared, you come to re-examine those things. So you're only looking at what has happened in the first place. Fraud examination is also historical in the sense that the fraud has happened and you want to carry out investigation to see who is responsible and the nature of laws that are involved. But the forensic accounting differ from this in the sense that it is both futuristic and historical. It is both reactive and proactive in the sense that it can be employed when fraud has happened or can be put in place to prevent fraud from happening in the first place. The primary focus of traditional auditing is that it is periodic. We know that financial statements are audited based on provision of statutes which require that companies or government organizations should prepare an audited financial statement at a given period of time. But for fraud examination, it is reactive. It is when the fraud has happened that we come up to do investigation. But for forensic accounting, it is both proactive and ongoing. Investigation scope for audit is narrow. For fraud examination, narrow, targeting at a particular fraud. But on the other hand, for forensic investigation, it is very broad. All evidence are important. All transactions will be looked into. You don't just look at sample to arrive at your final conclusion. The main work product for audit is that you give audit opinion. For fraud examination, it is fraud case report. And for forensic accounting, we give a forensic audit report. The main responsibility of auditing is to the company and the public as required by the law. For fraud examination, often by the defrauded party and maybe government people sometimes. The concern with respect to forensic accounting is concerned with the principal or third party that was defrauded. In terms of guideline, I think there's a mix up there. In terms of guideline, we know that traditional auditing follow the status, isn't it? There is a status where that the financial statement is based on, is audited based on. We have a statement of auditing standards, but for forensic accounting, it is not guided by any standard. It is just purely principle based. The purpose of reports for traditional auditing is usually to ensure that the available standards are complied with, while for forensic accounting, fraud risk assessment and strategic services. Then professional stance. You see, for traditional auditing, you don't give this in adversarial nature. It's just purely professional. You give your position. For fraud examination, it is adversarial, but for forensic accounting, it is both adversarial and non-adversarial. So what are the requisite knowledge that are necessary by forensic accountants? Need the knowledge of laws, courts, and dispute resolution, need proper planning and preparation before investigation is carried out. You need information gathering and preserving technique. You also need discovery reporting, experts, and testimony. Other knowledge also are in the areas of bankruptcy and reorganization, knowledge of bankruptcy, and reorganization. You require the knowledge of computer forensic analysis, economic damage calculations, family law, especially in developed countries where issues of divorce are highly common. Then you have business valuation, report and financial statement misrepresentation. You see, all this knowledge are very relevant and germane for a forensic accountant, apart from aside the other relevant knowledge that were noted earlier, like in the area of investigation, psychology, and the rest. You need specific knowledge of bankruptcy and reorganization, because these are areas that most often forensic investigations are carried out. Areas of bankruptcy, computer forensic, economic damage calculation, family law, business valuation, and financial statement misrepresentation. So what are the required skills by the forensic accountant? This is very, very important. One, good analytical skills. You have to be very analytical to be able to analyze the data and then bring out your position. If you don't have a good analytical mind, then you will likely pass a lot of evidences. You'll not be able to form a proper conjecture for your investigation. Two, creative thinking skill. It requires a lot of thinking. For forensic accountants, sometimes you have to behave like a criminal, think like a criminal, to go into their mind to see the possibilities, what are the possible ways that these crimes will be committed. And in that way, you'll be able to create a lead and follow up and do your investigation properly. Knowledge of the legal environment. Knowledge of legal environment is very important for a forensic investigation, in the sense that if you don't know the law requirements, you can easily spoil your evidence. Also, sometimes in forensic investigation, it is required that you mount surveillance on a particular subject of the investigation. But if you encroach into the person's personal lifestyle, this could also generate some legal issues. So within the scope of your investigation, you are expected to know all the required legal issues that are necessary for the investigation. Then problem-solving competency. It is not just all about identifying problem, but also how to provide solution to this problem. Remember, we keep saying that the forensic accounting is also proactive. So if you have anticipated possible areas of weaknesses, how are you going to provide solution to such area? Therefore, for a forensic accountant, you need a problem-solving competency to be able to excel very well. Then investigative flexibility. Now, at the beginning of the investigation, most often you form your theory. You form a theory that this is possibly how the crime has happened. But most often, what you set out as a theory will usually change. In the course of the investigation, you begin to see new evidence that will lead you to another evidence and lead you to another evidence. If you stick to your old plan, then you're likely going to not to be successful in the investigation. So you have to have a flexibility where new evidences are incorporated, new approach are adopted in the investigation. So oral and written communication ability, this is also a very serious requirement, in the sense that a forensic accountant most often go to the court of law to give his expert opinion and present evidence in the court of law. So if you don't have a good oral communication, then you will not be able to, even with authentic and well investigated evidence, you will not be able to convince people that really the fraud has happened. But if you have such a good oral communication, that will aid. Also written communication ability is very important, because sometimes when you have to give your report with respect to how the investigation was carried out, if you don't have a good written communication, then there's going to be a lot of problem. Then practical business experience. Forensic accountant are expected to have a very good grasp of the business environment they are investigating. If you're going to investigate the insurance sector, then you need to know how businesses in the insurance sector are done, how risks are calculated. If you're investigating an airline business, you should be able to know how activities, businesses, how they charge, and different third parties that are involved. All those things you need. So overall, if you're going to carry out any investigation, it is expected that one will have a very good practical knowledge of the subject that is being investigation. So a common area of application of forensic investigation are fraud and white-collar crime investigation, especially in the areas of money laundering and asset recovery. This is one of the areas that forensic accounting has been found most useful. Two, preparation of expert reports, review, and evidence. Of course, this is also a very serious aspect of a forensic accountant, where you have to write a report, review, and tender evidence. Insolvency and liquidation support investigation. As we noted earlier, one of the common area of forensic investigation is the area of bankruptcy and insolvency. Fraud and fraud tracing, fraud and asset tracing. This is also an area. Civil and criminal actions regarding fraud and financial irregularities. We have breach of contracts. These are also common areas where parties have entered into contracts, and one of them is violating the terms of contract. This also requires, usually require forensic investigation. Breach of warranty, particularly on company acquisition. We have liquidation support investigation. We have special and confidential investigation. We have financial surveillance, where this is this often is done by the government, where they are investigating a particular subject and they have to mount financial surveillance to see the nature of the person's transactions, especially in the areas of terrorism, financing, and money laundering. Background check. Sometimes a forensic investigation is taken on people either before employing or for a particular position that the person is going to mount. Therefore, investigations are also carried out to check backgrounds of the. Now, upon the whole of this, this is a summary presentation. It can't be too detailed. So I'm looking at why forensic accounting has been this successful. What are the efficacies of this? It is no doubt that with the help of forensic accounting services, companies have been able to identify and prevent frauds. This is one of the major contributions of forensic accounting. It has helped to unravel some financial misappropriations and mystery that were thought not to be possible to be investigated. Forensic accounting has helped to unravel such mystery and brought out a lot of financial crimes issue the public. Now, it is on record that up to 5% of revenue are lost because of fraud in every year. So for most organizations, it is estimated that what the calculate as their revenue, about 5% of it often are taken are lost to frauds. Financial statement fraud cases make up to 10% of all issues that forensic accountants have investigated in the several years. So you see, this issue means that while the employee, the company will be looking at the level of fraud perpetrated by the employee, the companies are also being accused for hooking their own book, therefore creating issues of financial crime. Therefore, forensic accounting has helped to unravel some of these issues. One of the largest scandals that ever evolved the forensic accounting industry is the discovery of inappropriate financial use through Aaron. The executives were indicted on several charges with some sentenced to prison for their conduct. In fact, at the course of investigation, even the audit firm that serviced them were found to be very guilty, to the point that even the audit firm destroyed evidence which require them being investigated using forensic audit technique. So it was through the help of forensic accounting that these issues were identified and resolved. 2, the most common dictation method used by forensic accountants to find perpetrators of crime was through the use of tips. So forensic accounting was this successful because it employs the technique of tips, where employees or business partners tip up on some of the irregularities that are happening in the organizations, which helps the investigators to actually identify some of these issues and then resolve them. The most common way to disguise accounting fraud was to create then alter physical documents that were misleading. So these are very difficult to identify, but through employing tips, forensic accountants have been able to, forensic accounting has been able to help to uncover some of this fraud. It is also noted that 40% of cases discovered through forensic accounting were never reported to law enforcement because there was a fear of bad publicity that would happen when the news became public. So you see, forensic accounting has also been this effective in the sense that the clients trust the forensic accountant to keep secret some of the investigation issues, some of the issues. The businesses will not want the public to know that the fraud has been happening in the organization. Therefore, they will rather employ forensic accountant than go to the government, where the issue might become a public issue, therefore creating negative image for the organization. This has also helped the forensic accounting to be very, very successful, in the investigation. It is also noted that 27% of executives said that real-time insight into accounting areas of heightened risks and internal controls are one of the most critical benefits that are available because of forensic accounting. So with the help of forensic accountants, firms are able to identify areas that are prone to risks and have a better internal control mechanism that has helped to prevent fraud. So this has also made forensic accounting to be very, very successful and is seen as a very serious tool for investigation, for covering or identifying fraud. Another most common dictation method used by forensic accountants to find perpetrators are through the use of, so this has been noted, this is a repetition of this slide. There's a growing demand for forensic accounting services, which implies that it has been yielding results. That is why more of such services are needed. Why are people looking up to forensic accounting? Because it is successful, because it is capable of solving the problems. And the fact that it is solving problems, producing positive results, people want to use the services of forensic accountant. This has also created efficiency or efficacy of forensic accounting. Basically, this is the summary of my presentation. So on a conclusive note, we say that forensic accounting is increasingly becoming a major force in the investigation of financial fraud. Though professional accountants are favorably placed in the investigation of fraud, there's a need for more detailed training in the area of forensic investigation by professional accountants to meet up with the challenge of sophisticated financial fraud. Because especially in the areas of computer forensic, where transactions these days are mostly done online, and accountants who don't have the background of ICT will not be able to do investigation in this area. So it is required that forensic accountants develop themselves highly in the areas of computer forensic to be able to meet up with the future challenges. The success of forensic accounting is due to its dynamic nature of incorporating knowledge of different fields. To be part of the success story, professional accountants need to up their game. Therefore, professional accountants are expected to up their gains in acquisition of other relevant knowledge that will help them to carry out their forensic investigation. Forensic accounting is dynamic, incorporating different disciplines, and professional accountants are expected to have or train or build up their knowledge of these areas in order to help with their investigation. So this way I'm going to pause, and then more issue might come up maybe during question and answer, and where others have more issues to add up, that is highly welcome. Thank you very much, Prof. This is where I pause with my presentation.
Thank you so much, my boss, Dr. A.A. Musa, as we fondly call him. Thank you so much. The student participants, you will agree with me that you have not wasted your time, and by no means you will not waste your time for this period. I will indulge Dr. Musa to say, please stay on the line. It's going to be difficult, but if you will not be available, you can just tell me now. Should we just take your question and answer now so that we can release you, or you want to be part of the panelists?
I would like to be part of the panelists, but then if there are questions that I have to, talk on, I would rather have some, because the nature of our work here. I have to go to classes.
I know. Okay, so
but I will be around once I address one or two issues. I'll continue.
Okay, so the single participants, you listen to him, and if you have a direct question for him now, you could just raise it. Preferably, you can just drop it on the chat box. Of course, his class is so direct and self-explanatory, but I still want to believe that we have one or two questions that can guide us. Okay, we'll wait for that within the next 1 minute. And I'm seeing someone raising hand. Timothy Shorunke, thank you for joining us from Abeokuta. Thanks for being part of this. Even as a member of ICANN, we appreciate you. Can you just quickly talk to us, and let the doctor attend to your question.
My professor, honestly, you have done very well. You have made my day. This is a program that I follow and very succinct and direct to the point. God bless you, and we want more of this. Forensic, yes. It's a new area that we need to explore, and we need to know more, because you are talking of audit, you are talking of investigation, and you are talking of forensic. We need to know what are the differences, especially among these three. There are wide differences. But my question is this, my professor. Forensic involves going to court and give evidences. And as a result, you need to be a professional before you can do it. Today, in as respect as Nigeria is concerned, what is a recognized body that the law court will identify that you are a member of the forensic and you will be acceptable, a member of a professional body acceptable by Nigerian law court as a approved forensic body? Thank you, my professor. God bless you.
Dr. A, do you want to attempt that?
All right, yeah, I'll attempt to provide the answer, and I think you might also chip in. You see, in the developed world, what they look at is your skill, ability to do the job. And but of course, when you're talking forensic accounting, in developed world, you have the fraud examiners, Chartered Institute of Fraud Examiners, who do, once you have that, it qualifies you. But also, if you're a member of any professional accounting organization, that also qualifies you. But in Nigeria, for now, we know there's no any legal this thing that has clearly indicated that this is the person that should be involved in forensic investigation. So as it is now, all accounting, professional accounting organization appear, once you are a professional accountant, it is assumed that you can do the job, since there is no any law that has specifically pinpointed to a particular body that can do that. And that's why professional accounting organizations having a particular this thing for their membership in the areas of forensic investigation. Both ICANN and ANAN have that. Of course, we are aware of the politics and a lot of issues coming up with some of the bills that have been taken to the National Assembly in terms of establishing body that will be saddled with the responsibility of forensic investigation. And we know some of the issues that is generating. I wouldn't want to talk much on that, but as it is for now, professional accounting, just all you need is a member of professional accounting body associated with any of their forensic accounting section. Thank you very much. Prof, you might want to add.
That was succinct, and I wouldn't even add anything. But from legal perspective, because I have done so, and I've passed through academic arena in law, that I can say I'm at least near to completion, and that gives me authority to also say something. Before you can be allowed, in addition to what my prof said now, in order to be sanctioned, commissioned, or allowed to present your evidence in court, you must have thorough knowledge of such you are presenting. Okay, you can't just come and say, okay, I have BSc accounting, then I'm a forensic accountant. No. Law will look at various things for you to be qualified as forensic accountant to tender evidence in court. I'm not ignorant of the fact that on this platform we may have lawyers, but just get this, that they will look at your qualification. Is there any specific qualification in forensic that you are holding? If you are a member of ICANN, have you gone through ICANN forensic? If you are a member of ANAN, have you gone through the Society for Forensic Accounting? And even if there is any association that put themselves together and they distinguish themselves and say, this is what they are doing, so far you can show evidence that you have passed through their training, or you also have some other training you have passed through, in addition to your primary knowledge, you will be allowed. And again, in court, even if you don't have forensic evidence, you can tender something in court, but you'll be categorized either as a lay or expert. If you are a lay witness, it means you don't have degree, you don't have award, you don't have anything in that line, but you want to come and say what you have witnessed as somebody that were there when issues were being made directly, so you can be allowed to talk, but your discussion, your opinion in court may not influence the trial judge in what we call swing the mind of the trial judge to decide your case. But for the expert, of course, your report, your evidence, if it's accepted and admissible in court, can be used. So what I would just charge you that look at today's training. If you are certificated for this, it's part of the knowledge that you can say, yes, I've gone through some forensic something. Until then, the issue of going to National Assembly in abroad, I don't think anybody is going to National Assembly to have a forensic association registered. The most celebrated forensic association, they don't even call themselves forensic association. That's Association of Certified Fraud Examiner, which my boss was making reference to. If you look at all FBI, that's where they draw their knowledge from. And I can tell you in the world, they are still the best. Not even the CPA forensic aspect. The ACFE is still the best when it comes to the training of forensic. They are doing it right. And hardly will you see anybody talks about forensic that will not draw from their body of knowledge. So let's leave that. Prof, the question here for you is from Oluwafemi.
Oluwafemi, yes.
Have you seen it?
I've seen the question.
Okay, so can you just attend that question?
Yes. She's asking that during the presentation, I made reference to the fact that forensic accounting is this successful because it makes use of tips. What we mean here is that while you are carrying out investigation, you will need there are information that unless you are led to, or you are given a hint that so things, go to so place and do your investigation, your mind might not go to that area. So forensic investigation is open up for to tip people, asking people who have relevant information to feed the investigators. So this has helped in the investigation. So tips could lead you to where the issues are without suffering too much to do some investigation before you are able to do your investigation. So in fact, it is also noted that organizations that have a tips hotline, a sort of whistleblowing, this intends to address their fraud issues more compared to those that don't have such issues in place. But then, as an investigator, you have to be very careful. Some of the tips that will be provided sometimes are done with the intention of hurting a particular person. So where the information is coming from needs to be also investigated to see so that it doesn't be a case of witch hunting or suspicions or trying to all those things. So once such information comes up, you need to also look at the source from which the information is coming from, and that will help lead your investigation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think that will be all for you, and we can thus allow you to go back to your classes. I know today is a lot of classes, an exam of undergraduates. If it has not completed, postgraduate will start now. So please, on your honor, we want to say thank you for being part of this, and we
thank you, Prof.
Indebted to you. Thank you so much. We can allow you to go, even if you are the background, it is fine by us.
I'll be back. And just
thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. So we, on behalf of the council, we say thank you. The three participants has been about 1 hour journey, and we have the next 1 hour to go. The 1 hour we have spent happened to be part of the introduction addresses by some people from the JMI, especially from the Family Support System Board Chairman, FSB. Okay, that's why we have that kind of time. So we'll be calling now, again, in no particular order, Dr. Onoja to quickly talk to us. The time is just in between 20-25 minutes so that we can also use 5 minutes to ask questions. Dr. Onoja, you have the floor, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be joining you, to have this conversation. I appreciate the team for finding me worthy, to be part of this conversation. And as much as possible, I would, I'll try to walk us through, what I would tag accounting and modern technologies. Now, because of the peculiarity of the job I do, I've been on the road for the better part of the week. I'm not going to share my screen, but I'm going to lead us through this conversation as fast as possible. Now, day in, day out, we have been talking about technology and then its effects on, the subject matter accounting. Now, like every other industry, technological advancements in whichever form has affected the way professional accountants deliver, on their jobs. A lot of job profiles have changed, a lot of names have changed. For some of us that left the university, the university over 60 years ago, the name data analyst was not known to us. But today, some other persons are even discussing concepts like augmented reality, big data, cloud computing, robotics, and all of these technological trends have direct bearing in the way accountants are expected, to deliver their jobs. So for me, I want to focus on a few of these disruptive technologies and the impact they're having on accounting. Now, this discussion does not aim to make predictions, but rather to stimulate discussion about a broad range of emerging and converging technologies and their potential to influence the accountancy profession. The propositions I will present here are based on available and established and emerging technologies and the ways in which they could potentially impact on the profession over the next 5 to 10 years. Please let me know if I'm too fast. But Prof constrained me to be fast.
You are fine.
I wanted to be calm.
You are fine, and we are fine with you. Just go ahead, sir.
Okay, so accountants have always exploited emerging technologies to, help them complete their tasks and more accurately, quickly or simply from, incised clay tablets of the Sumerian scribes through the adding machines of the 19th century to the calculators and computers of the 20th century. Now, accountants in practice and in the finance function are part of the connected world that is changing the way things are being done and communicated. Now, the modern technological trends that are affecting the subject matter, in my opinion, are categorized into 10. 1, mobility. 2, cloud computing. By mobility, I mean, the level at which mobile services are succeeding. I'll talk about social collaboration, I'll talk about digital service delivery, and then I'm going to talk about this digital service delivery, deeply. We're going to focus on the adoption of blockchain technology as the bedrock on which, services are being rendered by payment services. Now, traditionally for us in the digital financial service ecosystem, we understand that internally in Nigeria, we're supposed to be licensed. There's a license that focuses on Nigeria. There's that part of license that enable you to cross-border switching. There's another license that enables you to do remittances. But with this adoption, with adoption of a modern technology that we call blockchain, there won't be any need for licensing. And then payments can be made from anywhere on a chain, that has multiple users that have access to same information per time. I want to talk about big data. I want to talk about cyber security. We're going to be looking at augmented reality. We're going to look at robotics. Robotics basically, the ability of machines to replicate the behaviors of humans, the decision-making behaviors of humans. Now, in the market today, some other jobs, the bookkeeping roles of accountant has been taken care of by a smart system in the market. Now, there's a smart system in the market that is separating taxable from non-taxable income. Now, should professionals sit and watch? Should we give in to the perception that, technology will take over the jobs of accountants? Or should accountants upskill themselves to be relevant, to become masters of technology? Or should they stay and then be slaves to technology? So these are the kind of conversations we're going to be steering today. And then we'll look at artificial intelligence. And finally, we'll look at augmented and visual reality. Let me start by mobility. Accountants are exploiting mobile technologies to deliver productivity and efficiency gains. Reliable broadband networks are essential to the exploitation of the ever-expanding mobile ecosystem. Now, for countries, investment can be crucial to economic recovery as it contributes to gross domestic product, stimulates employment, and raises productivity. Then what are the opportunities for accountants with the way mobile services have succeeded? Now, accountants will be able to deliver on their role faster, and they'll be more connected to, a wide range of workforce that are connected globally. Now, there is going to be improved productivity and efficiency gains. Now, there's going to be improved client servicing. For those in practice, you may not need to now go to visit any of your clients to deliver on any job that's been given to you, because technology will enable you to do that. Now, it improves client services and then exploit generation-wide workforce to leverage technologies across businesses. In the 21st century, a lot of accounting softwares are in the market. A lot of them are even locally built with inputs from a lot of us here. But if we have not added to ask, to our understanding, won't be able to contribute anything to this development. Now, the beauty about disruption is the fact that technology does not wait for anybody. So my presentation this afternoon is partly an advocacy, and then it is intended to ensure that, okay, for those getting into practice, do not wait to be disrupted. Add to your skills. Learn all you can about, the possibilities that technology has in your job as an accountant. Now, the second item on the notes I've made is cloud computing. In the past, a lot of things were done traditionally, but recently accountants and the organizations they work for are exploiting cloud in business, in practice, and in other sectors. Accounting systems were among the first software to become available online. And this was made possible by cloud computing. Now, the fact that, accounting information can be stored in the cloud and then it's made available, leveraging on internet to all accountants all over the world is one thing that is disrupting, the current ecosystem. Now, what are the implications? Cloud has the potential to deliver many business benefits, but this can create opportunities. What opportunities are there for accountants? Ease of access, scalability, data sharing, and collaboration. Fewer physical and logical space constraints. Basis for developing new products and services. That is what is possible with cloud computing. You are able to collaborate with your peers from all over the world because you are accessing same information, you're accessing same resources. That is the beauty of technology and how much effect it will have, on the profession. Now, the third item on my list is social collaboration. Social media has come a long way. In the last 20 years, a lot of impacts have been made. Now, just last year, from having physical meetings, we are now collaborating socially. There are, even locally built teleconferencing solutions that are helping accountants to deliver on their roles. Now, as the use of social tools become the new normal, all accountants will be affected by changing approaches to, and then expectations, and then the way they communicate and collaborate. Now, the opportunities for all accountants is that it removes barriers to communication. You do not have to wait to post. You don't have to travel from Ibadan to Abuja for any meeting. So what does it do to you? You can track whatever it is that is happening. You can, interact with your clients, and then you can extract data from anywhere leveraging on technology. So the simplicity that comes with technological adoption is the fact that it has disrupted every space, and then the accounting profession is not left out. Now, it enhances decision-making. It will speed up end-of-month processes. In the past, for organizations that leverage on management accounting reports for decision-making, there is this, you have to wait for the CFO to be ready with his financial statements, whatever have you. But these days, you don't have to. There are systems, that the templates that have been built that simplify. Once you make inputs, you have all your, accounts properly settled, and then you are able to analyze. So the role that technology has given to accountants basically is the fact that modern accountants have moved from just traditional accountants to inclusive consultants. They are able, to study the behavior of every business from anywhere, looking at financial statements. So it is also important that accountants should not be static. Accountants should, be roving in knowledge, in looking for, knowledge. We're not saying accountants should go and learn programming. That is not the case I'm making. We're asking accountants, to delve more towards understanding use cases of technology in the subject matter. Technology is not a saint. Technology, has use cases and pain points. But our focus this afternoon is on, the use cases for technology in the accounting profession. Now, the fourth item is digital service delivery. Digital service delivery. I talked about, robotics as giving the cognitive abilities of humans, to machines, and in building in delivering these services, in building these systems, a system that is expected to deliver on the jobs of accountants cannot be built without the input of accountants. Now, are you ready? Do you have the requisite skills, contribute effectively, towards adopting technology to ensure that accountants are able to deliver on their roles? So our call to you this afternoon is to ensure that you continue to upskill. There's no limit to how much information you can take in about technology. It starts from, opening your laptop, your tablets, and then seeking relevant information, as they pertain to what you do. Now, the fifth item here is big data. Today, we're telling ourselves that data is the new oil. Analyzing data is dependent on the, data crushing understanding of an accountant. So accountants have advantages, but how do they merge their advantages with the knowledge that technological advancement has brought to the table? The professional trademark of analysis and problem-solving skills can help accountants to manage the complexity of the vast amounts of data being generated. What opportunities do we have? There's a need to improve understanding of market conditions, forward planning and risk. Now, potential to increase business effectiveness and lower process cost. Transform audit and forensic accounting by improving corporate imaging. Level playing field for small businesses and larger organizations. Now, the sixth item is payment systems. Payment systems. When I started, I was quick to talk about blockchain technology. And then because of this conversation this afternoon, I am not going to talk about blockchain as, the technological backbone upon which cryptocurrencies are running, because cryptocurrencies in Nigeria are still in the black market. But the adoption of blockchain as an accounting technology, that is doing a lot with data storage and the way things are done at the moment is the focus. In Nigeria, there are too many payment platforms that are built on blockchain. Why are they built on blockchain? Because blockchain is a decentralized, ledger system that allows for information storage. Now, the beauty about blockchain is the fact that it allows for, immutable data. It is decentralized. Now, it ensures transparency. Transparency in the sense that if all of us attending this webinar today are nodes on a blockchain channel, now the same information that Sidi Onoja has in Abuja is the same information that will be available to Morenike, wherever she is the same information that will be available to Michael, is the same information that will be available to Mr. Paul Akinloye, is the same information that will be available to Godwin Oyedokun, is the same information that all of us will have. Why is that so? The beauty of this is the fact that for us to make any upload on a blockchain, we must agree, that, okay, this is the copy we're uploading. Once we upload, it populates to all of us. So why is that so? Well, because it is done by consensus. So what is this doing? What will this do to the subject matter of accounting? It will simplify audit processes. It will automate auditing. Now, a blockchain system self-audits. So in that case, the idea of looking for source documents, to match with, values recorded as done previously in auditing won't be practicable. So what must you do as a 21st century accountant? Learn the mechanics of blockchain. If you do not understand the mechanics of blockchain, you're not able to audit a blockchain system. And in that case, now, the professionals that will be in demand in the near future are those that have knowledge of technology. So your role, or rather, your title as certified accountant has changed to that of an integrated consultant because you are a master of technology. That is why your clients will come to you, to ask questions about how best to adopt blockchain. That is why your clients will ask you, the essence of extensible reporting language and what to do to them. But how vast are you in accounting technology? That is the focus. Today, there are courses in some other universities, they say accounting and information technology. So do not limit yourself to your knowledge of accounting alone, so you don't go out of demand in the near future. Now, the other item is cybersecurity, and then I want to dwell a bit on this. As internet use has increased, the tools to manage cybersecurity and to protect against deliberate attacks and accidental loss of data have become widely available and affordable. Now, professional accounting bodies all over the world, even at the big four accounting firms in the world, are investing in cybersecurity tools. In the future, most indicators signal that cyber attacks will become more complex, more severe, and more difficult to prevent, detect, and address because technology continues to grow. Now, if you're an auditor, if, for instance, you're a forensic accountant on site, and then you are doing a forensic audit of a payment trail, and you do not have cybersecurity knowledge, how do you discover and report compromise? How, even at the moment, are you able, to on the spot suspect and report a phishing email, a phishing or phishing email? Now, there are too many cases of email compromise where, hackers from all over the world hack and then compromise emails, they create invoices, they take it through an ERP, they get all levels of approval and monies are moved. There's a case of one very big boy, Nigerian big boy that was arrested in Dubai. You know the case of Abbas. What were they doing? They were compromising emails. Now you see some, some prompts on your phone, and then you are quick to click. And the moment you click, your entire, all the information you have on your system is compromised, and they are able to access. So as accountants, you must be wary of, what you click on. So what are the opportunities of this technology to you? If you have this understanding, now accountants can be crucial to identifying, assessing, and mitigating all cybersecurity risks, provided they have the requisite knowledge. Constant monitoring and updating of your defense, your internet defense, can stop you from, getting into any form of compromise. And then internal audit can provide assurance and controls and policies to govern data privacy and data security. So wherever you are, for some of us in compliance roles and internal audit, now you need to, ensure that you have a very strong data privacy and data security policy. And then you must drive compliance from bottom up. Final, the eighth item I'm looking at is robotics. We heard stories about this hotel in Dubai where, from their website where you're booking the hotel, you do not interact with a human being. Now, from the point you book the hotel, to the allocation of your room, to taking your bag, to checking in, to even ordering food, you do not have any reason to interact with a human being. Why is that possible? this was made possible by technological advancement. So what are robotics doing? Now these robots have taken over the decision-making roles of human beings. Now they've been given the cognitive abilities of humans to make decisions that humans would naturally make. And this was made possible by technology. So what effect will this have on the accounting profession? The opportunity it brings is that it can improve, it brings the capacity to improve our personal and professional lives. Now, rather than focusing, on some very preliminary tasks, robots will take over your preliminary roles, and then the role that you have to take very seriously, will be that of decision making. Today, there are robots that are making decisions for humans. Now, separating skills and expertise from the people and professionals that possess it. Now, so these robots will take your skills, but then they won't naturally take your skills, because you now have to sit and then bequeath a part of your skills to this robot to do a part of your work. So when robots now begin to do a part of your work, what would you focus on? The very serious decision-making part of the roles that you play. Now, whether or not robotics succeed in accounting, human breaks and overrides will always be required. Do you have the skills? Have you grown to that point? Have you taken all the relevant trainings and certifications that enable you be in demand, where integrated consultants are sought after? Drop your tag, certified accountant. You need to get to that space of a consultant, because a lot of the inquiries that the laymen that are running, that are not professionals that are running businesses today, you are their first point of inquiry in technology adoption. A few of us have, you have addressed a lot of issues around people asking for, an accounting, asking for opinion in recommending an accounting software that fits the industry where they work. And I have listened to technology, to programmers sitting with you to understand accounting formulas, to impute on systems or on solutions that they are building. Your opinion will always be in demand, but you need to be upskilled to that point where you do not misfire. And that is why we're having this conversation. Now, we do not, it is not our plan to ensure that the conversation stops on this platform. Now, we need to start talking to so many persons around us. Accountants must embrace technology, both for its use cases and pain points. And then finally, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is basically giving, the cognitive abilities of a human being to a machine to enable it to make decisions. Now, there are smart systems all over the place. There are bots, there are other AI tools that can deliver benefits in business and in practice. And they can also create opportunities. Now, what opportunities do they create? They help automate routine and repetitive tasks and processes. Replacing humans with software-based entities reduces cost. Artificial intelligence systems do not go on holiday. Investment in AI systems are one-off. They do not take sick leave. So they are more productive than humans. That is the conversation people are having all over the world. So too many jobs will be lost. Too many jobs will be lost with technology adoption. Now, a few of us that go to the bank in the past, there were too many tellers. Now you come, you see like 10 tellers, and then you would see too many persons on the queue. But recently, have you seen any? There are ATM systems that are used to make deposits. So what what would you go into the banking hall to stand queue for? So artificial intelligence systems would improve compliance and decision making. There are artificial intelligence systems that are used in some quarters for regulatory compliance. What do? You just prepare your documents and then you file. And they submit to regulators. And then they send you back a copy. These are systems that were built to replace humans. Artificial intelligence systems would deliver focused services more efficiently and effectively. So as an AI technology and as an AI expert, as AI technology and expert systems become more available to accountants to use, accountants need to stay informed and then know what is possible. You know, assess the potential to automate tasks and then procedure, and then upskill yourself to take advantage of the potential to focus on higher value work. So to conclude, I would let us have a few, progress that have been made in accounting with technology. By 2015, every accountancy firm will give clients an app they can use to access their business and accounting data from a mobile device such as tablet or smartphone. Now this happened. The likes of Sage, some other even locally built ARPs are all over the place and they're available real time. Accountants will need to reskill to retain their emerging role as the gatekeeper of corporate data. That is directly to all of us. Now, the profession must develop new ways to measure and value technology costs and benefits for the world of cloud computing and social networking. The accountancy profession will shrink as software vendors build progressively more finance expertise into self-learning products and services. The CFO of the future will need to know as much about technology as they do about financial management. Unless accountants embrace technology, they would allow the dinosaur into extinction individually and then as a profession. By 2020, audits may well be real time. And by 2025, all digital data will be available to everybody. All digital data will be available to everybody. Now, 2025 is in 4 years. This is basically a summary of, my conversation. Like Professor Emmanuel mentioned, Professor Godwin mentioned, we started this conversation from 2020 MCPD. And then again, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to us this afternoon. Yeah, it's still this morning. The call basically is to ensure that accountants continue to upskill themselves, to remain relevant. Thank you so much. My time is exhausted. I don't intend to keep us, for too long. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my boss. We really appreciate you. Of course, we decided to allow you to have your time because part of what we are looking at in future is technology. And carefully, we selected these 3 areas of discourse because of the fact that they help accountants to shape their future. We talk about forensic, talk about taxation, of course, talk about the backbone called technology. We wouldn't have it better than this. Distinguished members and participants, you will agree with me that it's been a blessed day for us. I want to quickly ask that if you have any question, though I take it that the lecture is well presented and of course maybe as well understood. If you have any question, please drop it on the chat box. And if you would like to speak, orally, you can as well put up your hand electronically so that we can have you talk to us. That should be done within the next 30 seconds. Of course, I have Timothy again. Timothy, please talk to us. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, that's what I just did. Honestly, this technology you have brought, you have already won the issue, because without technology these days, nothing is possible. And especially when we are now beyond normal, according to the coronavirus that we already entered, it has shown us that this technology should be imbibed. But now the question is this: permit me to go through CISA area, whereby there is technology in auditing. Now, we are now bringing in technology in forensic. How do we have a body? How do we have a training momentum? How do we have a group that this technology will take a prime of forensic? I think it's necessary. Now that we are talking forensic, now we need a body. We need how to bring ourselves together and look at technology in forensic. How can we do that? Thank you.
My boss, go ahead and answer.
Okay, thank you, Timothy, for bringing up this issue. You know, technology is available for adoption in any profession. First of all, in the accounting profession, profession to even forensic. Now, in the case of evidence gathering, you know, when we talked about forensic accounting. Now, you talk about digital forensic and all. How then do you adopt technology to? That was the question. So now, a lot about technology adoption in forensic accounting is dependent on the disposition of the accounting bodies, all right? And then I made reference to the extensible business reporting language, you know, that is creating even forensic financial reporting and accounting tools for use by everybody in the world. You are not left out. So a lot is dependent on the disposition of, you know, the accounting bodies to use technology, you know, to deliver value in the roles that they are expected to play. All right. So it is not our responsibility as individuals to adopt technology in forensic, but now the responsibility of the professional bodies. We can, as individuals, build intelligent systems to forensic, you know, to support the way forensic auditing is done. But acceptance, driving acceptance is not the responsibility of the bodies and regulators. Thank you so much, Timothy.
Oh, okay, thank you, sir. One other person was trying to talk the other time. That's, I think it's Dr. Olushola Oladejo. I'm no longer seeing him online. If he's online, he could. Hello?
It looks like he's having some network issues. Yeah, he's online, okay.
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, yeah, good morning, everyone. I want to firstly appreciate the invite to this forum, and the lectures have been so enriching. I have two questions, and one has to do with our education system. Though we have been talking about this digital and technologies all this while. But up to today, if we look at our NUC syllabus, we look at our professional syllabus, we look at our MBTC for Polytechnic and other tertiary institutions, you will see that the syllabus is still more the same as the whole. These technologies are not being brought on board to actually drive the educational system that can actually assist the younger ones, the upcoming, in order to be able to fit appropriately into the system. We now have a situation where we have a lot of graduates and professionals that are still analog, both in thinking and in their attitude. Now, what can this forum do to actually take this up and see how it can actually be sorted out. For instance, is it possible for this forum to liaise with NUC to review the syllabus for BSc accounting, BSc taxations, and other similar courses that are related, that means where technologies really need to be brought in? Secondly, is there a forum of university, chancellor, vice chancellor, that we might need to make presentations and encourage them to embrace these technologies in their academic exercise, so that by the time a student is passing through these institutions, they are becoming more digital oriented than analog. That is one. Then the second one has to do with
You are still on, Dr. Oladejo.
Dr. Oladejo is not audible. I don't, maybe it could be network from his end.
Okay, please, can you just quickly attend to that within the next 30 seconds or 60 seconds?
Okay, now his first question says, what must the forum do to increase, tech adoption in our curriculum? Now, interestingly, Professor Godwin is, interacting with people across the spectrum on, how best to adopt. Now, the forum is at liberty, to approach, it starts from even the professional level, even not even at the university level, for those in Annan, NCA is available, and then we started this conversation at Annan level last year, and then that was why we started talking about use cases of artificial intelligence and blockchain in accounting. Now, it might not be on the surface that everybody is saying that, okay, we're doing this, but we are seriously agitating, for a change in the way, a change from the old to a new curriculum where technology will be the driving force. Now, there's places today in the world where people are going for, masters in financial technology, masters in, and then in Nigeria, we're talking about, a lot of us, a lot of the people in the university still use Franco's financial accounting. So we need to improve on what has been done. So as a forum, the leadership of this forum, as much as I know, because of the people I have interacted with over the years, are committed to ensuring that there's a change in the way, education is being delivered at all levels, especially in accounting today. So that conversation is ongoing. Now, the second part of his question is there a forum of vice chancellors to approach? Yes. We can suggest directly to NUC. We can as well suggest to the forum of vice chancellors on the need, to impute technology as one of the vital areas in modern education delivery. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I know Dr. Oladejo is actually hearing you, and you must have gotten that fact right. And if not, I will also pass it to him. But I still feel that he's online to join, because we now have the next topic to be taxation, which also is part of his area. And I'm very sure Oladejo is also listening. Okay, the single participants, that will be all for Dr. Onoja. Dr. Onoja, thank you so much. We also understand that you may have one or two things to do, because you look that you just enter your house. So we may permit you while we take it on from here. So far, Dr. Fowokan will be presenting last. Some of us will also help cover your space and that of Dr. Musa, if by the time we are done, he's not back. But if you are around, please put your set ready so that you can be hearing or listening to us. The single participant, we are running out of time, though within the time. It's our plan that this conversation should be from 10 o'clock to like 2 or 1. Within the next 45 minutes, Dr. Titi Fowokan will be talking to us. But before then, I'd like the secretary to share the screen. And LM Press, Morenike should please quickly talk about if that is not done within the next.
Prof, I need the LM Press to enable me to share.
So we can continue, right?
So it needs that they enable him to share. I think he's unable to share.
Okay, so who is enabling? Yomi Davis, are you there?
You are also a co-host. You can do that.
Co-host now. She's a co-host. Morenike Aromire co-host. Otherwise, Dr. Fowokan should just share the slide and she can read it. I think somebody shared it the other time. We don't have time to look at time again. We have so many people going for one assignment or the other.
Let's move on. Network is a bit unstable.
Okay, so Dr. Fowokan, could you please share your slide and let me see that aspect of your profile. I'll do justice to that.
Okay, you have to, let me just pull up the profile. Just a minute, please, because I didn't have it in the slides I want to share.
Okay, so. We can as well go on. We can as well go on if you have your main slide so that you talk to us, ma'am.
Okay, I can just share this one that has my profile, and then I'll have to change it to the other one that has the.
No problem.
Yeah, so I'm sharing the one that has the. I'll share the one that has the profile now. Sorry, trying to share my screen.
No problem.
Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, the single participant, that is profile of Dr. Fowokan. And I quickly read because it's necessary, because I've seen some charts that let us see our profile. Dr. Titi Fowokan is a seasoned resource person for training on topical issues on taxation, accounting, fraud examination, controls, forensic, and the like. He has been involved in public discourse on tax matter over time. She had her first degree in mathematics education, B.Edu, from Ogun State University, now Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agowe, Ogun State, Nigeria. She holds Master in International Business Law, LLM, from University of Cumbria, United Kingdom, and PhD in Accounting with specialization in taxation from Charisma University, Turks and Caicos Island, British West Indies. She is currently the Group Head, Strategic Tax and Compliance at Dangote Industry Limited and oversees the tax affairs of the Dangote Group. She started her career as professional accountant and tax practitioner with PwC in 1994, where she spent over 11 years and later worked with the firm of Akintola Williams Deloitte for about 3 years. She left tax practice for industry in January 2010, and she had acquired over 11 years industry experience as a group head of tax department of both Oando and Dangote. She has over 28 years of experience in audit, accounting, forensic investigation, tax services. She has significant experience in audit, business assurance services, internal controls, fraud examination, forensic accounting, audit, tax audit, compliance, and advisory services. Our industry experience covers financial services, oil and gas, manufacturing, and service industry, to mention but few. Dr. Fowokan is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, fellow of CITN, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, and is fellow of an Association of National Accountants of Nigeria. Also, a fellow and the vice president of the Association of Forensic Accounting Researcher, AFA. She is a general practitioner of the South African Institute of Tax Professional, a certified fraud examiner of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, Texas, UK, US, and a certified internal control auditor of the Institute of Internal Auditors in USA. She's a member of Governing Council of Challenge of Tradition of Nigeria, where she's currently the chairman of Student Student Affairs and Tertiary Education Committee. She happened to be the past chairperson of the Society for Women in Taxation Suite Lagos chapter, second vice president of ACFA in Nigeria here, and vice president of membership and professional development of Association of Forensic Accounting Researcher. She is also the vice president membership of Professional Women Network. Of course, Titi can put down a slide while she uploads the main slide. The three members and participants here, you agree with me that today we've lined up a team of experts and those that are good in what they do. In person of Titi Fowokan, CG, Onoja, and Musa. We now listen to Dr. Titi Fowokan to discuss with us some contemporary issue in taxation, especially as it boils down to 21st century accounting. Dr. Titi Fowokan, you are welcome. You have 25 minutes in the first instance. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Oyedokun. I want to appreciate Joint Minds, the CNAG part of it, for giving me this opportunity to make a presentation on the contemporary taxation in 21st century accounting. Without wasting so much of our time, I'll just go into the details. By way of content, I'll do a quick introduction. We'll look at a recent event, which is a reawakening of the Finance Act era. We look at things about tax administration automation, because we've just spoken about IT and the accounting. We look at non-residents. This is a contemporary area. We have what we talk about significant economic presence. Taxation of free zone enterprise is a recent development, and it's going to affect the way accountants assess free zone enterprise. We look at the taxation of digital economy, which we by way of the last paper, we had some sessions on it. We look at this new aspect of leases and how this will affect tax treatment. And then we'll go into the real contemporary issues around the Finance Act amendments to the tax laws, because accountants need to know what is going on, because this may affect the way the accounts are prepared, accounts are presented, and the likes. And then we have a conclusion. Now, by way of introduction, when we talk about accounting and taxation, there's a relationship that exists, and it still continues to exist, and will always exist. And the question is related to the intensity, the interrelationship between them, and the mutual consequences. So when accounting interacts with taxation, many topics can be discussed. A lot can be discussed. We have a lot of things happening in tax environment, and it affects accounting one way or the other. Most of the contemporary taxation issues to be discussed have accounting implications, as they may require change in recording and reporting of transactions. They may require having a good archiving system for retrieval of accounting information to support the tax returns and payments. They may require understanding the accounting and non-accounting documentation requirements, which needs to be in place to support any tax position that the company is making. Also, with the adoption of IFRS in 2010 for financial reporting in Nigeria, and the fact that recent amendments to tax laws does not take cognizance of changes in IFRS standards, there's need for accountants to understand implications of any amendment in an annual finance cycle for accounting purposes, so they can be well ahead of it. Now, there are quite a number of developments in the tax space, and it took a new turn from 2019. Not that we don't have development, but from 2019, we started seeing a lot of changes, rapid changes, and the tax authority started getting more aggressive about enforcement, about collection, about assessment, and the likes, and it has been increasing. We have things about the controversy surrounding substitution of to freeze accounts of taxpayers for not paying taxes or audit that are dragging, enforcement of income tax TP regulations, transfer pricing regulations, C by C, for more transparency between groups. So for those of us who are managing group accounts, we need to know what needs to be done. There's a lot to be done on that. Issuance of common reporting standard regulation. This is a global thing, and that means financial services are now to be making reporting of their customers who have international affiliation. Tax appeal tribunal decisions is now giving us a lot of decided cases that we can rely on. Before now, we do have tax cases, but we don't have judicial precedents. But now I can tell you, if you go into the tax space and you Google Nigerian tax law report, you see a lot of decided cases that have come up, which is giving us precedence on any matter. The change in leadership of FFARS, we had that in 2019, and the new chairman has actually taken it to another level, which we'll see as we talk along. Then we now have the annual cycle of appropriation bill and finance bills coming together, and these are now concurrent. So it's interesting to see what is going on in the tax environment. With the reawakening of the Finance Act era, this started in 2019 after 30 years of having such amendment to laws using finance miscellaneous, taxation miscellaneous decree. So the curtain was drawn again, and the 2020 appropriation bill was supported with a finance bill, which was signed into a law on 13 January 2020 and became effective from that date. Now, this fiscal reform is actually through it was initiated. It was something in the pipeline, but the current Honorable Minister for Finance, Budget and National Planning took it upon herself to take it forward. And that gave birth to Finance Bills 2019 and 2020 through the Fiscal Policy Reform Committee, which is more of a standing committee. So Finance Act 2020, which is the second of its kind, supports the 2021 Budget of Economic Recovery and Resilience, and that was signed on 31st December 2020 to take effect on 1st of January 2021. Now, with respect to tax administration, there have been a lot of automation. We just spoken about the IT world, technology world. The tax authorities have now decided to step up their game. Quite a lot of automation is going on. We have the e-registration, e-stamp duty, e-tax payment, e-receipt, e-filing, e-services, e-TCC, and the likes, ETP plats, e-tax, everything now is EEE. So what this means is that for us that are accountants and also have some tax linkage, we must familiarize ourselves with all the ease that comes with tax automation. Payment of taxes by most states are now through remitter platform. You get your receipts online. The Lagos Internal Revenue Service, they let the automation, and they have what they call e-tax platform. And other states have other similar platforms for tracking tax registration, payment, and filing of the residents in their states. Now, as accountants, we need to look into implications of the move from manual payment processing to online real-time payment platforms. We must not sit behind. So we need to know what are the implications. That means you cannot afford to be doing paperwork again. You just have to understand how your accounting system can make it easy for you to make payments online without necessarily entering the bank to do those transactions. Now, there's also a contemporary issue around non-residents. These are people or companies that are not incorporated in Nigeria. With respect to individuals, they are individuals that are not living in Nigeria, but they are here temporarily for one assignment or the other, and they are back. So historically, for those that have businesses in Nigeria, they prepare and pay their taxes on what we call deemed profit. We estimate that, okay, for anything they do in Nigeria, 20% of their turnover will be deemed as profit for them, and 30% of that, based on our tax rate, is what we say they should pay, which is effectively 6% of their turnover. But that has changed. So with the amendment of Section 55 of the Company Income Tax by the Finance Act, they now, once they derive profits or otherwise taxable in Nigeria, they must file tax returns with the Nigerian Tax Authority, and this is on their full activity from Nigeria. So it's not like the previous regime. So what it means now is that they must prepare full audited financial statement, and these financial statements must be attested by an independent chartered or certified accountant. So this is where our role comes in, because Once you certify, it means that the statement is true and fair. Consider that it is not the full global operation, it's just for Nigeria operation. They must also prepare their tax computation schedules based on their profits for Nigeria. They must give a true and correct statement that the profit they have there is correct for Nigeria, and they must submit this with their self-assessment form. So it means accountants has to be sure that the financial statements that support these tax returns are true and fair. There's also the contemporary issue around what we call significant economic presence regulations. This is also related to non-residents, whether company or individuals that do one or two businesses with Nigeria. Now, under the Finance Act 2019, this regulation came up for companies, and under the Finance Act 2020, the regulation for individual, the regulation now expanded to include non-resident individuals. For the purpose of understanding how this affects companies, amendment to Section 13 of CETA says that non-resident companies' profit will not be subject to CETA in Nigeria, where that company transmits, emits, or receives signals, sounds, messages, images, or data of any kind by cable, radio, electromagnetic system, or any other electronic or wireless apparatus to Nigeria in respect of any activity, including e-commerce, application store, app stores, high-frequency trading, electronic data storage, online adverts, participative network platform, online payment, and so on and so forth. In short, the whole of the digital economy, the digital services is now inside the tax net. And to the extent that the company has what we call significant economic presence in Nigeria, the profit to be attributable to Nigeria. Now, there has been no specific definition in the Act for what SCP means, which is significant economic presence. So the minister give us the definition, and that is something that is open to flexibility as business environment changes. There might be amendment to the regulations, but so far it has tried to include things like our management services, technical services that are provided by non-resident companies to Nigerian companies. That's why we are having issues around Facebook, around Twitter, around Microsoft not paying taxes and things like that. Around, I think what's this one now? The one that has DSTV not paying taxes. So it's coming under this regulation. Now, the significant economic presence is an emerging principle in international tax law. It's formulated by the OECD, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and is in pursuant of their actions towards eradicating base erosion and profit shifting. So it's part of the attempt to bring the rapidly multiplying digital businesses of multinationals within the jurisdiction of the EU country tax net. So Nigeria is tapping into this to ensure that we also bring them into our tax net. Now, there's also a contemporary issue around free zone enterprises. All we know before now is that if you are operating in what we call economic zones, free zones, like the Lekki free zone, the Onne free zone, like the Calabar export processing zone, that you are exempted from all tax obligations. But that's no longer the case. The Section 18 subsection 1 of NEPSA Act and the Oil and Gas Export Free Zone Act that exempt them from all tax obligations have been amended by virtue of Finance Act 2020. And so if you are auditing them, you need to be sure that they comply with these provisions, or you are preparing the accounts. It implies now that once they are operating within the zone, they will continue to enjoy exemption from taxes, duties, foreign exchange, but they must file their returns, and they must also be subject to the provisions of Banks and Financial Institutions Act. Before this amendment, most banks would not want to extend their hand of fellowship to companies in the zone, enterprise in the zone. But with this amendment, it means that they can have their own bank accounts, they can transfer businesses. You don't have to come and open an account in the customs territory to be able to run your activities. Secondly, those enterprises that are operating in the zone, they have to file yearly self-assessment returns to the FIRS. If they fail, then they start having penalties. And what that means is that for those that have not been preparing audited accounts, business no longer as usual. The accountants have to be sure that the operations are well monitored, accounting principles are followed, and the accounts are prepared for the purpose of filing the tax returns, not really for paying taxes, but for filing. The implication of this is that there will be more scrutiny on them. Where they have transactions that are not fully covered by the zone, there may be exposure to tax liabilities. So they must prepare their financials, and it must be in compliance with filing obligations under Section 55 of the Income Tax Act. Now, the digital economy, this is a big one, the big chunk of it. And I know the last session we had talks about what is going on, blockchain, everything like that, robotics. So the taxman is saying, I need my own share of the tax. And so when we look at digital economy, there are complex business models, cross-border activities, advanced technology, innovation. You cannot physically attribute taxable presence to the jurisdiction of income generation. So it's a bit difficult for tax purposes. But that is why the amendment that talks about similar economic presence was brought to pass, so that it can look for a way of bringing some of their businesses into the tax net of where they are generating income. Now, the structure of the digital economy poses challenge for effective taxation because profit generation from remote online transactions, you cannot tie them to physical presence. The question is, I'm operating in the cloud. Where is the cloud base? Is it in your country, or is somewhere that is remote that we can't see? It's a big issue. So who will lay claim on the tax? Difficulty in attributing value to data generated from users through the online platform. We spoke in the last session about data. So there's a problem. How do we bring this into the tax environment? Challenges with real-time tracking of e-business transactions to determine the tax points. Current VAT collection system is not effective. VAT is on consumption. So the question is, if I put something in the cloud, I'm in Nigeria, the other person is somewhere in one country, where have I consumed the services? The recent amendment is saying, if you're in Nigeria, you enjoy it in Nigeria, you consume in Nigeria, then it comes to Nigerian tax net. Difficulty in tracking the relocation of functions, risk assets. This is related to transfer pricing. When you have a group of companies, the question is, what function does each of those members of the group perform for each other to warrant the value that is being paid? This is actually used by companies, multinationals, to remove profits from where there's high tax to where there's low tax. So this tracking now becomes an issue because we must be able to identify what are the functions performed in that low tax jurisdiction to warrant the payment, what are the risks that they assume, what are the assets employed. And this also relates to intellectual property, that's IP, intangibles. So you need to be able to identify that. And these are the headaches that the tax authorities are having when it comes to digital economy. But they are starting now by going into automation, by coming up with the different significant economic presence rules, so they can bring some of these profits into the tax net. Now, I'll go a bit into an accounting aspect and then take it into tax. With effect from 1 January 2019, we have IFRIC 16 on leases. It changed the way leases are to be reported in the books of the lessee. And that means that the lessee may elect not to recognize assets and liability for leases with a lease term of 12 months or less. And our tax year is just 1 year. So it means that this will have impact. So in such a case, the lessee recognizes lease payment in profit or loss account on straight line. The exemption is required to be applied by class of underlying assets. Now, under the new lease standard, the lessee accounting for the two elements of the contract, which will change because lessee will have to be recognized in the balance sheet. That means they must separate which one is the one that have the right to use and which one is like service or extension beyond that use. Both the lessor and the lessee are required to determine if a right to use an underlying asset is separate components in their contract. And there's criteria for this. What's the criteria? The criteria to be met is that the lessee can benefit from the use of the asset either on its own or together with other resources that are readily available to the lessee. And other condition is that the underlying asset is neither dependent on nor highly interrelated with the other underlying assets in the contract. So because of these changes in the way the IFRS has treated leases, then you will find out that for tax purposes, the lease payment, once it's charged to profit and loss, will have to be adjusted to reflect only the amount that are allowed as deductible expense for tax purposes. So this is also a major change in the way lease accounting and tax is being addressed. Now, I want to say we need to know the amendment to the tax laws. Why? Because they have implications for accounting. They may change the way we book things. They may affect the way we record transactions. I'll take personal income tax as the first. When we are booking our staff cost, we just book it and say, okay, this is the total gross pay, but we also need to recognize pension, payee taxes, and other deductions. So now for contributions to pension that are recognized under the Pension Reform Act, they are now allowable as deduction against the income of the individual, not foreign pension contribution, because before this was not specifically stated. Definition of gross income has also changed. What are the changes? Now, gross income for personal relief purpose have been redefined to be income from all sources, excluding non-taxable income. Any income that is not, for instance, dividend is franked, you bring it in and it goes out. So you are going to back that out from the gross income, which you will calculate personal relief on. That means the gross income will reduce. That means your personal relief will reduce. And the implication is that the tax liability for high net worth individuals will go up. Things like tax exempt income will be removed. Income on which no further tax payable like dividend will be removed. Income that like pioneer dividend that is not taxable at all will be removed. Interest will be removed. And any allowable business expenses and capital allowances will also be removed. By the time all these are removed for enterprises, individuals in their different category, it means that that gross income for personal will reduce, and the claim of relief will also reduce, and the tax to be paid will increase. This is the implication. So it's necessary for the accountant to understand how the payroll is calculated so that there are no shortfalls in the amount remitted, and that results into additional tax liability and penalty, which is not deductible and increases the tax expense of the company. Then there's issue around minimum tax. There's also need to understand that individuals that collect minimum wage of 30,000 per month are now exempted from tax. So in the calculation of payee taxes, they are not supposed to be included. With respect to capital gains tax, there are some amendments. A lot of people may overlook this, but it is something that must be given due consideration. I will first of all talk about filing. We seem to think that CGT is only filed once in a year, but this has changed. It's now twice in a year, depending on the period transaction of disposal of chargeable asset takes place, and the returns have to be filed as payments are to be made. June and December payment deadlines. Where we talk about disposal of ship, aircraft, when COVID-19 came up, quite a lot of people had issues with the airline business. Aircrafts were grounded. So at that point, you might want to say, oh, I'm not in this business again. I want to sell my aircraft. It has not helped me, or ships could not move, or, once you go into that disposal, the question that would now be asked from the amendment to the act is that, do you use it in international traffic? If you use it in international traffic, it goes from Nigeria to UK, Nigeria to Dubai, Nigeria to Ghana. Once you use it for that, and you're a Nigerian resident, then that asset will be liable to CGT in Nigeria. Whether you like, you can put a red flag of UK or whatever, but it has to be paid once this condition is met. The other big chunk on contemporary issue when it relates to capital gains tax is compensation for loss of office. This is usually, with COVID-19, a lot of staff, some people disengage their staff, pay them off. Any staff that collected up to in excess of 10 million is supposed to pay what we call capital gains tax. And that means 10% of the amount the person collects in excess of 10 million. This will probably be more of the high paid staff, or anyone whose compensation for severance, give them give them something for telling them to go, will not pay this CGT. So, and that will now fall under the normal PAYE. So you have payee deducted on the normal salary, and CGT on any severance pay that is given above 10 million naira. There are contemporary issues that affect companies' income tax, which I'll just pick a few of it for the purpose of this discussion. We have specialized businesses. It's very technical, but where you have any business that is to shipping, air transport, international shipping, air transport, freight, you need to now separate between the two. The freight activities and non-freight income has to be separated, cannot be lumped up, because they are now have different tax treatment. So when you have non-freight income, leasing, containers, incidental income, they are separately taxed under the normal tax law of 30%, while those who are related to the shipping, air transport will now be specialized tax depending on the passengers carried from Nigeria and some basis of determining their capital allowance ratios. The other thing is that minimum tax, because of COVID that affected businesses, there's a 2-year window, 2020, 2021, where companies can get 50% reduction in their minimum tax rate. And it's based on gross turnover, less any frank investment income, which includes dividend, if it's for corporate bodies, and that is being given for insurance companies, for all companies. For insurance companies, it's also a special one. The base is their gross premium or gross income. For other companies, is their gross turnover. Withholding tax now is being specifically stated that when you have a non-resident that does not have what we call significant economic presence, the withholding tax is final. But if it has significant economic presence, that withholding tax will be advanced, maybe 5% if it's service, keep that for the person. When he files his returns, if his effective tax rate is 10%, he'll pay additional 10%. So that's another area that will affect the recording of such transactions. We talk about deductibility of donations. Currently, donations, because of COVID-19, some people gave to the government. So it's now been made a rule that where you support government in the face of pandemic or natural disaster, there will be deductibility of such donations, but it's subject to a maximum of 10% of the accessible profits after the donation has been allowed. So there needs to be an understanding of how this will be computed for the purpose of the calculation of what is going to be reported in the tax returns of the company. Penalties and fines is no longer an acceptable thing for companies to be bearing penalties on their transactions. So once you pay penalties or fines for any law, breach of any law of any state or any federal law, it's not allowable as a deduction. It will be added back for tax purposes. For those who are into oil and gas, there's gas utilization incentive, which is applicable to trade or business for gas utilization. Let's say, for instance, you have power plant and you power it with gas, you come under this purview, or you generate, you use gas to power your plants, you come under this, this provision. Now, the key thing is there's no more double dipping. If you get this incentive under the Income Tax Act by exemption, getting your 3-year incentive under Income Tax Act, you cannot go to Petroleum Profit Tax Act or Industrial Development Income Tax Relief Act to claim 3 years or 2 years again. You have to stick to one law. If you're under SITA, claiming it, you must claim under SITA. If you are claiming under PPT, stay under PPT, and under IDITRA, stay under IDITRA. No double dipping. Now, the VAT seems to be the one that has been very active in recent times. We first of all started with our change in rates, which was under the 2019 Finance Act, from 5% to 7.5%. The focus of government is that VAT will be used as a means of pushing the deficit so we can increase government revenue from VAT. All other tax rates were not increased, but VAT rate was increased by 50%. And also some definitions had to be amended so that they can bring in as many things as possible into the tax net. For instance, place of supply of goods have been determined to mean place of consumption. So you cannot say, oh, I'm operating in the cloud. The question, where are you located? I'm in Nigeria, though you are getting the service in the cloud. Our goods are deemed to be supplied in Nigeria, where they are physically present in Nigeria at a time of supply, if it is goods. Supply is made where the beneficial owner of the rights in or over the goods is a taxable person in Nigeria, and the goods or rights are situated or registered or excised in Nigeria. So this has dragged everything to Nigeria, whether you sit in any country. Once we have a Nigerian leg, it picks it. With respect to incorporate properties, intangibles, exploitation of the right, if it's made by a person in Nigeria, it brings it into Nigeria tax net. Services are deemed to be supplied in Nigeria, where either the service provider or the recipient is present in Nigeria, irrespective of whether it is rendered within or outside Nigeria. Now, specific other amendments to finance VAT is in terms of determining what is time of supply. Now, it can be either when you invoice it, or when you pay, or when payment is received. When you invoice is issued, or when payment is due. So if any of this happens, then you can determine that supply has taken place. When you talk about related parties that do not issue invoice, the time of supply will be the time of removal of the goods which are to be removed, or the time the goods are made available to the recipient, or the date of a service is rendered, or when the intangible incorporeal properties become available for use. So the VAT Act has also been expanded to talk about the time of supply under rental agreement. So where you have, as an accountant, you're preparing an account for any rental agreement, you have to also consider the implications of the tax amendments. For rental agreement, it's the date when payment becomes due or date when payment is received. Where supply of taxable goods relates to progressive or periodic agreements, or construction, or assembly, or alteration, repair activity, the time of supply will be when invoice related to payment is issued, when payment is due, or when payment is received. Where goods relate to instrumental credit agreement, time of supply will be at the earlier of when good is delivered or payment is received. So you don't say, I've not received payment, so I'm not going to consider VAT. At the point goods are delivered, then the VAT crystallizes if it's delivered before payment is made. On a final remark, contemporary issues in taxation arising from the recent trend of events in the 21st century cannot be exhausted in this session. COVID-19 has just come and gone, and we know the implication we've heard on the side of the IT, what has done. A lot is happening in the world of taxation, and these have accounting implications. Accountants need to understand the trend and the implications for financial accounting and reporting purposes. The indelible mark of electronic lifestyle brought upon us by COVID-19 cannot be erased, as automation is now the new normal way, and our top gear for all tax authorities, having tasted the sweetness during COVID-19 lockdown and the usefulness in curbing leakages. So finally, the digital economy will continue to grow and expand. As tax authorities seek for ways to tax digital services, there's a need for players in the digital economy space to review the accounting process and procedures to be able to mitigate any potential tax that could arise from expansion of the tax net to cover the digital economy. I will say that the secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. A lot is happening, things are changing, 21st century events are just unfolding again and again, from IT to technology to COVID-19 to value chain changes to disruption in businesses. And we just have to continue to build the new. We have to stay relevant. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prof. I'm done.
Thank you, my good sister. That was electrifying, complete, and succinct. At all time, we are always having range of 33, 35, even when some people will leave the platform, new set of people do come in. And as at the time you stop your presentation, we have about 33 of us here. Bearing in mind that we have YouTube and a lot of people are also connecting, especially those people that do not go to the rigors of connecting via Zoom. Well, distinguished participants, you will agree with me that today we've been able to remind ourselves of a lot of things, and our facilitators have been able to perform to the expectation, and we want to say thank you to all of them. Particularly, I'm saying thank you to the facilitators that just completed our own session now. Okay. I would like to call on participants, if you have any question, signify by electronically putting up your hand, and drop for others. You can drop on chat box. Of course, we have been receiving chats that we have excellent paper and presenter from the chat. Others are talking about the fact that they are pleading for the soft copy to be sent to us. And I'd like to quickly answer that part, that once you register appropriately, you can get it. We are not holding and holding any information from us. So you all get it. For this session, the admin will also help us create a kind of WhatsApp groups in case you do not, you don't have email address. We can also drop it there so that you can pick it up. Thank you so much. So do we have any question, concern, intervention from any of us so that we can start moving on? Okay, Moran Ikeji was saying thanks to the speaker, Dr. Abiola, Dr. Onoja, Dr. Fowokan. It's been so refreshing time and super energy from Tax Icon. Okay, so we take that as compliment as usual. Okay, we notice that most of the facilitators, in fact, they are all still available. We can use this opportunity to do that because by and large, we still have like 5 minutes to go. This is just 12:31, so we can use this period to ask questions. And if there will not be any question, we can also have volunteer to appreciate all the facilitators for the good job they have done according to what we have been able to accept within us here that they've done wonderfully. I'm seeing Dr. Onoja. I want to believe that Dr. Abdullah is still there. He may have gone to class, but I know his system is still on. So if you have any question, generally you can ask now. Okay. Moran Keji is still saying, why don't we hear tax defaulter penalized on Nigerian compared to foreign country? I think Titi can answer that.
Okay, it's a good question that is being put forward. Not that tax defaulters are not penalized. I think there's difference between the way it's adopted here, and short of saying that we know our culture in Nigeria. In fact, we are just trying to make sure that people are tax compliant. So what we've experienced is that those who are complying are those who are being penalized more. So they keep putting them under pressure. So, but in overseas, nobody waits until when you breach the law. Once you make a mistake, your penalty is waiting for you, and the government is decisive about it. So I think what the tax authorities are doing now, based on the recent move that they are making, is to immediately, let me explain a bit about Tax Pro Max. Once you go on Pro Max and put in all your data, it calculates your tax. If what you have paid is different from what Pro Max calculated, it starts calculating your penalty and then enforcement. Let's admit that there's some level of corruption. So automation is supposed to block some of these leakages. But what we've observed is that the defaulters we're talking about being penalized. In fact, if you go, just check, there are quite a lot of tax cases, and these are people that comply, that the authorities are also coming to come after. So when you talk about what defaulters, these are people already in the tax net. So how many people are in the tax net? That's the question we're asking. So until we have a lot of people in the tax net, and then we can really know who are the real defaulters. So those who are outside the tax net are the real defaulters, and the authorities need to know how to bring them in. So our system in Nigeria is not so robust like foreign countries. We are still trying to use automation to bring everybody in. And until when everybody comes in, then you can now see how you track the defaulters and ensure they are penalized. But so far, people are being penalized. A lot are being penalized. We may not know. And that's why we have a lot of cases before TAT, because people are challenging the penalties of the tax authorities on them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Everybody's saying they enjoy all the season sessions, and we want to thank God. I will also thank those of our members from diaspora. I'm seeing a lot of our members. I think I'm seeing Shegun Onobanjo and the hosts of Older that have joined. Thank you so much for making it. And some of my postgraduate students are also here. I'm seeing Amafa, Matthew, and the host of them. And also one of my lecturer in my department, Dr. Oladejo Lushola. Thank you for making it. Some of my colleagues from ICANN, Timothy, and the host of others, Adebowale John, thank you so much. Paul Akinleye, Olajide Olabode, Oke Udo, Michael Olaleye, Ibrahim, some of my staff are also here. Elin, thank you for joining. Bolanle, Adewale Adebanjo, Adiremi, then I respectively recognize all members of CNA JMI group for supporting this lofty idea, even when we just decided to call this on. Okay, Sunday Ajayi, thank you for your charts. We want to say thank you. Rafiat Sheyi, Wilfred, Sunday Ajayi, Tela Bamidele, thank you so much. I want to take it that we do not have much from our member, as the lectures were well received by them. And I want to ask Dr. Onoja to quickly give 1 minute closing thoughts on this. Then we'll call on Dr. Titi Fowokan to also say the same.
I want to appreciate everybody for creating this time to be part of this lofty conversation. This is to my understanding our maiden outing, and then I trust the organizers to sustain this tempo. For those that created this time out to listen to us, we appreciate you more than you appreciate us. So we'll be happy to be part of this conversation, because it's expected to be progressive until we drill it down our minds, as to what the expectations are in the modern space. So to Professor Godwin, I appreciate you for putting this together. To Dr. Titi, I appreciate your thought-provoking presentation. To my friend and brother, Dr. Abdullahi, it is always good to have you. And then to all others, we appreciate you for your contributions and time. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Fowokan, unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Prof, for this opportunity, and for the JMI CNAG family for accepting my inefficiencies, even in the little we have presented this, because it was more like a short time of preparation for me. I want to appreciate the other speakers. I've learned a lot. I'm here to deliver and also learn. I've learned a lot on the IT side, though I'm not IT savvy, but I'm being forced to fast track what I know. And one thing I just know is that the current generation coming behind us are going to be better than us. I must tell you that, because there are some things that we think we are thinking they don't know, but they can unbundle them for us in the IT space. So we just need to be sure that we are still relevant. I want to thank Dr. Abdullahi for the way he has presented forensic accounting. In fact, I've been working with Professor Oyedokun on that, but I think I'm seeing it in a different light today. And for everyone that have listened, if not for you, we wouldn't be here. I just want us to know on a final note that the tax environment is changing. Technology is the way. Everybody is going automation. And the accountant of the 21st century cannot sit back and still remain analog. We've got to be as digital as possible. I don't think robots will replace me, because I'll keep thinking of how to make myself better. And I want everyone also to think about that. So we shall not be replaced with robots. because we always have ideas to bring up so we can remain relevant. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I want to, before I'll call the FSB chairman, Mindiji, I'd like to quickly appreciate Yomi Daves. He has been supporting JMI from all fronts, both on the ICANN side, the Ilupeju side, JMI proper, and even now he has done it again. When we call, he's always there for us to perfect all these logistics when it comes to information technology aspect of it. Thank you so much. I'd like to call on Mr. Seun Afolabi, who is also the brain behind this platform of CNA group. So quickly appreciate all facilitator, shed more light on what is needed to be shed light on, and then also appreciate Godwin WG for his time with us. Then WG will just give us his blessing. Thank you. Seun.
Okay, Prof, thank you very much. Please confirm you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I want to start by saying that I appreciate the opportunity that you have given to us. It's an opportunity, I would say, being an amazing edition. And within a very short time, I didn't even get to meet any of you. We started sharing through the head of technology too, through WhatsApp, and we've been able to connect, and you are saying yes to, the program. So we appreciate you for taking time out to be part of this session. It's our first one, like I said, and we'll be having more of this. I want to believe that we've made a landmark achievement by bringing you on board, being the first one, and going to be forever in history. So Prof has laid a foundation. Joint Minds, we are looking at, from all angles, making our own positive impact. We have our, colleagues in the Chartered Accountant Group. This is the Certified National Accountant Group, and we have other groups coming up just to make sure that we bring out things for the benefit of our members. And we want all of them to be, well savvy in terms of technology. We want them to, attain professional excellence, and we appreciate you for being part of this. So we also thank the leadership of the Joint Minds International, the lead Doyen, and the FSB chairman and other members of the council for, giving us this opportunity. And we know that as time goes on, we'll be able to achieve all our goals. And of course, to some of the senior members of ANA that I can see on the board, I can see the council treasurer of ANA too, and some other members. I know as time goes on, we'll be able to have much more of synergy in terms of projecting the brands too. So thank you, Prof, for the opportunity. Bye, everyone.
That was Mr. Seun Afolabi. He's also the treasurer of GMI Council. Do we have our elder, Edomiliji, on board? Edomiliji.
Yes, I'm here.
We are done, and we want to appreciate you once again. You may have one or two things to say to just close us, sir, and we understand your busy schedule. Thank you, sir.
Well, it's been a very successful outing. It's not always easy when you're having a first-time event. Yes, and the resource persons have been carefully selected, and I'm sure that everyone that have been part of the proceedings actually have value for the time spent. I want to congratulate the group on its maiden outing. I want to congratulate all the members who are present. I want to congratulate all our guests for being part of history. And I wish the group more successes as they move ahead to uphold the excellence that the club preaches in its professional life.
Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, sir. That will be all for now. We are known for our time consciousness. Distinguished participants, we want to say thank you, like my boss have said. This is a better time for us to draw the curtain of this discussion, and we will send you the date of next outing of this particular group, as we promise to be more formidable, more careful, and also give you better thing to do. Someone was raising hand. Please drop comments. As we will not be able to do much again because of our time and people need to go out. Thank you. The man at the back of our engine room, kindly shut down this window till when next we meet. Thank you all. Facilitator, bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.